Hey guys, welcome back to the CulePodcast. Welcome back to another match reaction. And guys, as you guys can tell, my vibes, they were significantly better than my previous video talking, my previous match reaction actually, in which Barcelona, we did, have a defeat against Las Palmas. But today against Mallorca, Barcelona, they come away with a 5-1 victory. That first half, it was a little bit tricky. It was a little bit frustrating. There were some concerns and worries, but that second half from Barcelona put everything to bed. And Barcelona, they scored 4 goals to put Mallorca to the sword and get the 3 points. But guys, before we talk about the match and everything, make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. Everything is posted down below in the description. And as well, if you guys do want to join and, discuss with me and join the stream, just go on X, click on the StreamYard link, and you will be able to join. But guys, let's start talking about the lineup that Hansi Flick he did opt for in tonight's match against Mallorca. And in goal, obviously, he started Iñaki Peña. There were some speculations and rumors about Chesney, but Hansi Flick, we talked about it in the press conference and everything. He has his faith with Iñaki. And Iñaki Peña, he did have a good performance today. He was very good as acting as a sweeper keeper. In the defense, you had Alejandro Balde, Inigo Martinez, Pau Cuarci, and Jus Koundé. In the midfield, you had Marc Casado and Pedri. And up top, you had Raphinha, Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal, and Ferran Torres starting as the 9. Robert Lewandowski rested. And talking about Ferran Torres, he did play a good game, but we're going to be talking about that later. But what's up, Sake? Welcome to the stream. Barcelona, they get the 3 points. Let's go, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I thought it was really a weird match. I don't know. I thought that we would have won at most at 3-1 or 2-1 scoreline,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know how do we end up scoring 5 goals. Also, there are certain facts I knew those facts about our players, but now I am again sure after seeing this performance. One thing about Balde, he can do everything on the pitch, but he can't cross a ball.
True, true.
I think also one thing about Ferran Torres, uh, he will run more than Lewandowski. I think he will even run more than Raphinha, but he has worse first touch than Lewandowski. Also, Lamine Yamal. I think it is a very hot take that I am going to give. You know,
And what
do
is
you
that hot
agree
take?
that today's Lamine Yamal's performance was not great?
Oh,
Do
Lamine
you
Yamal's
agree or
performance
not?
was great. I sort of understand your point because when you look at Lamine Yamal throughout the game, there were instances where you're saying, Lamine, you made the wrong pass.
My
You made the wrong
Yeah,
decision.
my
But
it's just that my point of saying that is that if today Lamin don't provide those that outside of the foot assist and another outside of the foot assist, I won't say it was a pre-assist I think for the another goal,
Mhm. For the
but
fifth goal.
if he if he doesn't provide those assists, then that is the performance that Saka and Salah gives without the output.
Okay. Okay, well, you're a little bit critical of Lamine Yamal, and I understand that.
No,
I
no, I'm
do.
not being critical. I'm just saying that this is the average performance of the top fingers in the world. I'm just saying at Lamine Yamal at his worst is producing
Okay.
same output as Salah and Saka
Okay. Okay. Okay.
at
So
his
now I
worst
understand.
performance.
Okay. Uh-huh. And and then talking about that, we were having the discussion like, hey, is Barcelona dependent on a 17-year-old Lamine Yamal? And even after the game, guys, when we talk about like some of the passes that he gave, we were just absolutely ridiculous. Rafinha, he basically says the same thing, in the post-match interview since he won the MVP. Rafinha says when Lamine Yamal is on the pitch, he makes the difference. And that's 100% the case because, when we look at some of the chances that Lamine Yamal had and some of the passes that he was making, it was absolutely absurd. And some of the plays as well, not even that. He was beating his man, he was creating chances for Barcelona. And when Barcelona, they don't have Lamine Yamal, it's a night and day difference. But Barcelona did start the match, obviously, with this Pau Víctor yellow card. We talked about it. It's a valid yellow card. It's frustrating. But Pau Víctor, he did a great job of managing that. I don't think, he was in basically situations that would have, allowed for a second yellow. And obviously, when you're looking at that first half performance, I would say it was very frustrating for Barcelona because Barcelona, we were creating chances and everything, but we weren't being clinical. And when you're not clinical, we talked about this in the first half, just one mistake, one through ball that is timed correctly from Mallorca, you can expose Barcelona's high line. And that's what they did. And in the first half, at the end of it, we were thinking, is this game getting away from us? Because, Barcelona, we should have generally been winning by a more comfortable goal margin, but it was only 1-1. And that's where some worrying signs developed. But in the second half, Barcelona just ramped up the pressure. The individual quality from our players, it basically shined through, and that allowed Barcelona to get an absolute dominant score line. But looking into the second half, Barcelona, they get this penalty, which I think is the turning point. First, Saka, do you think that this is a penalty in regards to Lamine Yamal?
Yeah, yeah, it is a penalty. First, I thought that that Lamine got down easily, but then I realized that Moika is also kicking him in his leg. Initially I thought that it was just a shoulder push, but when you see it again, he is kicking Lamine Yamal in his leg.
Yeah,
You know
uh,
that too
I
from behind.
absolutely. You can see in
So
this
it is
image
a
right
clear
here.
clear penalty.
You can see in the image right here that Mojica, he is basically kicking Lamine Jamal's left leg and doesn't allow him, to basically finish that chance. And he was 1-on-1. If he's able to make contact with the ball, it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. And Raphinha, he steps up and he puts the penalty to bed. And that was a huge moment because Raphinha, right before the end of the first half, he had this huge chance in which he did miss, this huge 1v1 opportunity that he wasn't able to put to bed. And then you're thinking, is it another day where Barcelona, we're not going to get the 3 points, but Rafinha, he turns up and he was, able to dispatch the penalty with Robert Lewandowski being out, our key penalty kicker. Uh-huh.
Also,
Uh,
Lamine needs to shoot more. As I said earlier, he should take shooting lessons from Lewandowski after the training because he had so many chances. He also Farhan had so many chances.
yeah, he did. He did. Ferran, he had this chance in the first half. Although I would say it's a difficult chance. He
The
also
difference
had.
between Farhan and Lamine is that Lamine controls the ball. He finds the spaces. He just doesn't shoot well. And Farhan doesn't have a first touch, so he just misses the chance.
Mhm. I definitely see your point right there. I mean, Lamine Yamal, he is young, he's going to be improving and everything. And Ferran, in regards to that, we've talked about it in the watch along. But his IQ, his off the ball movement is fantastic. But his finishing ability, that is what yeah, you lack. But talking about Ferran Torres, I thought that he had a good game overall. He was getting to very
Yeah, me
dangerous
too.
places. He scored the first game. So Saket, you agree that Ferran had a good game?
Yeah, I think he had a good game. We can only say that because we end up winning 5-1. If we end up getting a draw or
Yeah.
we lose this game, then we will be blaming Ferran Torres because he had the opportunities. He's finding the paces,
No.
he's pressing the opponents, he's running all over the pitch. Just don't be too erratic. Just control the ball and look and finish. He had all the time in all the chances.
All the time and all the chances. And obviously, that is one of the weaknesses in Ferran's game. But continuing on, guys, the second half was much better for Barcelona. That penalty in favor of Barcelona did change things. Also, great pass from Dani Olmo in the build-up play. He managed to beat his man. He put in this fantastic ball to Lamine Yamal, who, you know, Mojica does commit the foul against. But then later on in the second half, we have this world class pass from Lamine Yamal. Another, outside of the blue, another Trivela assist straight to the feet of Raphinha right here, who is making a run inside the box. And it's an easy tap in for Raphinha. And, this was not the first time that he's done that. Later on
Third
for
time.
what happened?
I think it was his third Trivela assist out of the nine assists in
I think
all
so.
of the season.
Because it was a pass against I'm blanking. It was I think it was against Villarreal. I'm trying to remember. There was one in the Champions League. But he's had multiple passes like that where he's just
Yeah,
managed to find the space and everything. But later, he basically replicates the same exact pass. This time instead to Raphinha, it's the Pau Victor who makes a fantastic run. Who did come on for Ferran Torres, and he got in a fantastic position right here. Obviously, for example, Pau Victor, when he passes the ball to Raphinha, it is intercepted. But Frankie De Jong, he does, get the goal. But I want to specifically talk about Lamine Yamal first before we talk about Frankie de Jong, because Hansi Flick, he played Frankie de Jong in an interesting position. And I do want to talk about that. But
also, that goal from Frankie de Jong, I was so sure that he was gonna miss because he shot directly at the keeper and between those players instead of going to the far post when the entire post was free. He just shot at the keeper. It was lucky shot because it could have been saved by the keeper.
I was wondering the same thing. I was like thinking, oh my God, Frankie de Jong, you have tons of time to think where you want to place his shot, but he managed to choose like the most difficult corner. I mean, fair play to Frankie de Jong because he managed to, to put the ball in the back of the net and make it 4-1. But it was a little bit nerve
Also,
wracking.
I think one thing I have also noticed with Frankie is that when going forward and when pressing forward, he presses very aggressively. Also today he showed the fight, but when defending or when tracking back, he doesn't press or show the fight as high as when he is going forward or when he is attacking.
Okay. But second, but before we move on, we talk about Frankie de Jong because I do want to give talk about Frankie de Jong and give him credit. But what impact does Lamine Yamal make? Because as we said, Rafinha talked about it. He makes the difference. You know, Lamine Yamal, even though, for example, in the first half, he was having, I would say, a quiet game, but even still, he was playing at a good level. Lamine Yamal, with these two brilliant passes, just created so much danger for Barcelona. It's crazy to say that Barcelona, they're relying on a 17-year-old, but when you're this good, what team isn't? You know?
Yeah, I mean, even though he wasn't having a great game, I mean, we are judging by his standards, like like he performed in
Absolutely.
Euros and like he started the season. But I think he was like at his 60 to 70% in entire game. It is accepted, because he had like 1 month injury and it was his first start after that injury.
Hmm.
And even though it was his first start, he ended up influenced the game, won the penalty, gave the assist for the lead, and just ended the game in that manner.
Uh-huh.
Also, I think whenever Lamin plays, two players have to look after him, two opposition players. Because of that, look at Raphinha. How many times he found the space on the far post because of Lamin?
Hmm.
Because two players, center backs are fullbacks are attacking Lamin, and if another players like Pau Victor make the runs, then
Uh-huh.
another two players are marking him. So there is only one player on Raphinha, and there is no one marking him on his far side. So
Absolutely, second.
Raphinha gets
Absolutely.
the perfect places, to make the runs.
Hmm. Talking about that, look at this image right here. Lamine Yamal is being marked by two players. If he's being marked by two players, you're going to have a man free. Whether that be Frankie De Jong, who's making the run inside the box, who did score the goal and who was free. You see the impact that Lamine Yamal brings, or let's say it's Pedri right here. But just have nothing but praise for Lamine Yamal, a player who is 17 years of age, but is making such a difference, and is the best winger in the world. He's absolutely amazing. And at 17 years of age, my God, what a player. But now I'll be talking about Frankie de Jong because Hansi Flick, instead, he brought on Frankie de Jong, but instead of bringing him into his usual, CDM role where we've been seeing him so far this season, he brought him in the number 10 position. Now, second, what did you make of Frankie de Jong playing there? Because that caught me off by surprise. I was thinking, whoa, Frankie de Jong is playing more advanced than both Pedri and Marcasado. Whoa, like, wait a minute, Hansi Flick, what are you doing? What did you make of him in that
Uh,
role?
to be honest, I didn't realize that he was playing as a number 10, because I after he came on as a substitute, he and also Gavi. I didn't notice two of them in the play. I only noticed Frankie De Jong when he scored the goal and he made the assist. Rather than that, I didn't notice two of them. I don't know, because we try to look at the game, what everyone is doing, but I just couldn't notice Gavi and him even after they came on.
Uh-huh.
So I don't really have thoughts about this. But if he played as a number 10, then then we have, and we as a Barca fan and Flick also have another headache. Then how many number 10s can we play?
Well, speaking of Frankie de Jong, I actually want to see this more often because I'm not gonna say, hey, Frankie de Jong, he's found his role in the team. No, because we need to see this more often. We need to see consistency from Frankie de Jong in this role to say, hey, Hansi Flick, he's basically touched the right key on the keyboard, and this is basically his role in the team to be that number 10 and everything. But I would definitely say this has been a much improved performance from Frankie de Jong. And speaking of that, I think it alleviates some of his defensive
Yeah,
responsibilities.
I want to give him his credit, but it was not even a performance. It was just 10 to 15 minutes when everything was over.
You can say a cameo instead of performance, a cameo.
Yeah, it was a cameo. It was a great cameo, I would say. It was
Hmm.
not a performance like like Raphinha put for entire game, like Lamine did.
Okay,
Even though it
okay.
was not great from Lamine by standard, but still he can change the game, whenever he wants. It is that kind of a player.
Hmm. But
Also, did you notice one thing that whenever we are catching opponents by offside trap, we have more chances of winning the game, because we catch those players today. I think more than 10 times we catch them offside,
yeah.
and all these games when we drop points, against Celta Vigo and Sociedad, we wouldn't catching them in offside, and we lost those games. We dropped points. In these games, when we catch them offside, we won.
Uh-huh. And that speaks, to how focused and how good are we, on the day, implementing that high line. If we're absolutely on point and we're not allowing, for example, these teams to get in behind us on side, then it creates less opportunities for the opposition. But continue to talk about Frankie de Jong. As I was saying, Frankie de Jong playing this position, I do think it alleviates some of the defensive responsibilities. It allows him to be, I would say a little bit more creative, for example. But at the same time, it doesn't take Pedri away from his best role in the team as of right now. It doesn't, disrupt Marcas at all. It doesn't disrupt that base, And as
But
I said
I
before,
think, I only think is that it will limit Fermin's minute.
true, true. Well, I mean, see, here's the thing: the season is going to be long. Very, various amounts of players are going to have to be
So
rotated.
not only Fermin, Pablo Torre also.
Mm-hmm. True, true. But as I was saying, the minute the season is long, tons of players are gonna have to play. And it doesn't mean, for example, that just because Frankie Young is gonna be playing in the 10, it's gonna take a vast away from the minute of both Fermin or Paulo Torre. But you are right. It does, sometimes takes away from what they could do. But Frankie Young, he also got an assist for Pau Victor, who did score in for the fifth goal. And talking about Pau Victor, I would actually say he performed well in the cameo that he had. What did you make of about Victor's performance?
Yeah, I think it was his most minutes that he got in any match, for entirety of the season, right?
Yeah, he had like 20 minutes.
Yeah, so if we can do this in 20 minutes, then we should also try him. We should give him more minutes because before this, he was getting like 4 minutes or 5 minutes. No player can do that in impact, in that types of minutes. But today, I think he was good. He was also finding spaces like Farhan. Only difference was he had a good first touch and he finished his chances. So I
uh,
think he was better.
Uh-huh. No, it was a very impressive cameo from Pau Victor. I was looking at his minutes right now in La Liga so far, and the last time he's played, this amount of minutes was actually in October against Sevilla where he played 24 minutes. But then you have to go to September where he played 20 minutes against Girona, 30 against Villarreal, and then it was 60 minutes. His only start of the season was against Osasuna, which we did lose,
Lose,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Uh-huh. But Pau Victor, he was very impressive. He was pressing the opposition. He was, getting into the dangerous occasions. And when you look what he brought onto the team, I think
From,
it's fantastic.
yeah, yeah, from all these players that come off the bench, Pablo Torre in last game, Pau Victor in this game. The
Mm-hmm.
pressing from these guys is from next level, even compared to the starters of the team, because like they have more fight. They want to play for the team, so they are more pressing more like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Um. Oh, and Lamine
Also,
Yamal,
I
he
think
also spoke after.
one thing about Kubarsi also had a great game. He got like a second yellow in. I mean, he got a yellow in second minute, and from then he was like Rolls Royce defenders. He didn't commit any mistake. It is very hard
Absolutely.
to for a 17-year old away from home for against a team like Mallorca to get a second, to get a yellow in a second minute and they print then play entire game.
And on
And it
top of
was
that,
not like it was not like Mallorca was sitting backs. Their full backs, their striker was constantly attacking. And striker
mhm.
like Muriki, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
look at his size. He is, I think, even bigger than Haaland.
Yeah, yeah, he's roughly the build of Holland, and Muriqi, he was trying to exploit Pau Cuarte's yellow card. He was trying to get the fouls and everything, and in the first half you saw Mallorca attack Barcelona and trying to exploit their high line with 4, 5 players trying to get in behind at times. And if Pau Cuarте or Inigo Martinez is not focused, then you'd have to commit a foul. Or if not, it's just a 1v1 opportunity, and he did a great job basically avoiding any those dangerous situations for us. And just like you give credit to
because
Lamine
because
Yamal.
I know that Gil Manzano's hands were itching to give second yellow to Kubarsi, but he was too smart. He didn't even give him a chance.
Well, I mean, he won a lot of times. Some of the calls that he was making
Yeah,
were
he
it's
has
ridiculous.
he today had his 100 yellow against Barcelona and also 101 yellow against Barcelona.
Wow.
That referee man.
Wow, man. Well, I mean, we know where his allegiances lie, but overall,
Also,
I do.
also, do you know that I think it was last season that there was a match between Madrid and one team, and the score was 2-2, and they took the corner. Carvajal took the corner, and Real Madrid scored, and the referee was Gil Manzano. But when before taking the corner, he blew his whistle, so the goal scored by the winner scored by Real Madrid was declined by Gil Manzano because he blowed his whistle.
Yeah, it was
Do you
against Valencia.
remember?
It was against Valencia.
Yeah, against
Mhm.
Valencia. Yeah, right, right. So
Yeah.
after that game last season, Gil Manzano hasn't even refereed a single game for Real Madrid. Think about it.
Yeah.
This is the level of
Oh, wow.
power of that Real Madrid TV.
Well, I mean, you do know that whenever sometimes decisions don't go in favor of Real Madrid, you see them, for
And
example, make a documentary on Real Madrid TV bashing the
and
referee.
yeah, and meanwhile, look at this. He's creating records like a strikers against us for yellow cards, and no one
True.
is stopping him.
But looking at overall in the match, you had your cameos. You had, after Barcelona, they ran away with the scoreline. You did have various players rested. You had Pedri rested, Marcasado, Lewandowski. He didn't play a single minute, which was fantastic. You had Eric Garcia, Gavi come on, your Pau Victor, your Fermin for Raphinha towards the end of the match. And I thought it was fantastic man management from Hansi Flick. You had the experiment from Frankie de Jong in that number 10 role. But overall, what do you take away from this game? Is this Barcelona bouncing back? Or do you say, hey, you know what? Maybe we're still not at the level that we need to be? Because looking at that first half, it could have gone in a completely different way.
Yeah, I think it could have been a different game, but it also shows that Lewandowski is also important for this lineup because if Lewandowski was in place of Varane, we would have finished the game in the first half itself, and we could have rested more players, after the first half because I think we would have been 4-1 or 3-1 up in the first half itself if Lewandowski was in place of Varane. So yeah, I think again same point like that we discussed before that with our starting lineup we can beat any team in the world, but if one or two pieces goes, then it is we will struggle again and again.
Uh-huh.
Unless 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 people perform like they did today off the bench, like Frankie De Jong did that, like
No.
Pau Victor did. It depends on the bench.
Mm-hmm. If those players they are able to perform, that reduces the gap and level between the starters and those are the guys who are coming off the bench. And in the first half, the difference it's basically was simple. Barcelona in the first half were not clinical. Barcelona in the second half, they were clinical. Barcelona in the second half, we got a chance, we scored it. Simple as that. In the first, we did not. You had that Rafinha chance, one on one. You had a couple of Lamine chances. You had a couple misplaced passes from Dani Olmo into the space. Ferran Torres getting into time and time again good positions, but not being able, to pull the ball in the back of the net. And that was just basically, the difference. And when you play with that high line, you expose yourselves. And if you aren't clinical, then you're gonna be paying for it. But Barcelona in the second half, I don't know what Hansi Flick told them, but say, hey guys, we have to finish our dinner, and that's what they did. Um, but looking at the comments, Sylvan said, we ended up scoring five because the left back and right center back started self imploding and fighting amongst each other. Good leadership giving Frankie the armband from Rafinha. This man bleeds blue and red. And man, what a player Rafinha is, man. The love for the club that he has, you feel it. You feel it. He represents us as Barcelona fans.
Also, yeah, also did you notice that in the last game we played against, when Frankie De Jong came on the pitch, Raphinha didn't give him the armband.
Uh huh.
But
No.
today he gave it to him because the press conference before the
Uh,
Mallorca game, Hansi Flick was asked this question about the armband. So
no.
he just said that journalists were looking for the controversy and fights between the players, trying those things that Catalan journalists do. So he just said that maybe it was in the heat of the game they didn't notice that. So because of that, maybe they didn't even notice that. So I think in this game he probably gave him
Well, I was just scrolling on social media and I was seeing some of the quotes from Hansi Flick and everything. I saw this quote from Rafinha. He says, "We knew it was very important to win. In the last three games, something was missing. Today we were good. It wasn't the best game, but the important thing was to win." And I want to reiterate that because this win is vital for the league table because Barcelona right now, if we were to drop points, then you see Atletico Madrid, potentially surpass us. You see Real Madrid potentially
also
surpass.
also I am glad that team has the realization that they haven't been good for the past three games because
Yeah,
also Rafinha, you just said that he said that it wasn't a great game, but
yeah,
winning was important.
yeah,
So they also know that it was not a great performance, but we won it. So I
yeah.
think this realization is very important for the players.
Absolutely, absolutely. And looking at the table, guys, Barcelona, we recovered that winning sensation. We bounced back after those three unfortunate results against Real Sociedad, against Celta Vigo, and against Las Palmas. If we get the victory against Mallorca,
Mo-
and our next game is going to be
More that more than those two losses, I am still feeling bad for that Celta Vigo game
no that the way we capitulated, man, in the last 10 minutes, that it was crazy. It was
because
crazy, man.
reminded us of that old Barcelona that we have seen suffered.
Mm-hmm. No. But Van Lee, precisely. People are overlooking the Atletico Madrid factor. They don't really lose to bad teams. They have scoreboard pressure on us. Absolutely. Like I included Atletico Madrid in the conversation. It's not only Real Madrid, but it's also Atletico, who are, when you look at the table, they're only 5 points behind us with one game in hand. So if they win their game, we're only 2 points ahead of them. That's absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Um,
only those casual Prem fans, thinks that this is a two-horse race between
no,
Barcelona and Real Madrid. But
no.
ever since Simeone came in, Atletico has been always there. If Barcelona and Real Madrid makes mistake or tough forms, they are always there on the third place to catch them.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing a podcast tomorrow on Thursday. If nothing goes wrong, most likely it's going to be on Thursday. Don't forget the Sociedad offside mistake with Lewandowski. Absolutely, we've had these mistakes, roughly throughout the season that basically take a point or two off, and it's absolutely frustrating. But overall, when you look at the table, it's good to see that Barcelona bounce back with a win, and
Also, Elias, one thing is that that whenever we drop points or when we lose, then basically our fan base complains about the referee decisions. But if you think about it, every game, even if we won today 5-1, look at the decision against Lamine's. I think Lamine's penalty. Lamine had another penalty, or multiple such decisions. We can point those decisions in this game also that were wrong from the referee. But why would we do it? Because we won the game, you know. So the refereeing in La Liga is shit in every game, not only for Barca matches, for
no,
lower team matches also.
yeah,
It's just that when you win, we don't complain. When you lose, there always a reason to complain.
hmm we already know that the referees in La Liga are an absolute joke. Like the inconsistency with some of their rules and some of their, decisions is just absurd. And this is why, after the matches, I would actually like to think, or just like to hear a post match from the referees. Say, hey, why did you give that penalty? Why did you not give that penalty? Why did you give that red card? Why did you not give a yellow card? Why did I want to see the referees asked just like a manager is asked, just like a player is asked. It gives accountability for some of your decisions. Adam says 5-1 wins, just like Barca, I remember earlier this year. Absolutely. And the Hansi Flick said that, like November is over, December starts, and hopefully, we have these repeat performances in December. But the important thing is that we get the 3 points. We bounce back from, I would say, a small little a small little bad patch of forms, and let's see what December brings for us.
Where
But
is Real Betis? Yeah, Real Betis. I think they are 10th, right?
yeah, they're 10th. They're 10th in,
10th.
in the league right now.
Yeah,
hmm Five
they are
wins,
also having a
five
bad
draws,
form.
5 losses. Wow.
Yeah, I
Look
think
at
it
that.
is also away from home.
Yeah, we're going to be going to their stadium next in the weekend.
Three
hmm
away from home games, back to back to back to back.
hmm Because then we have to go and play and face Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, guys. But that is going to be exciting. But guys, hopefully,
Um, the amount of travel for the team is crazy, man.
yeah,
In just
yeah.
1 week, 1 week,
Uh,
3 matches.
it's ridiculous. I mean, but that's modern football right now. It's absurd the amount of football that these guys have to play. It's not sustainable.
Yeah,
Not sustainable.
also because of the camp, no, we are playing more matches away from home. That because of that, also travel is increasing.
Yeah, that is true. But guys, hopefully you guys did enjoy the match reaction. Let me know down below your thoughts about the match. Who was uh the most impressive player to you guys? Was it Raphinha for the grit for his overall performance? Was it Lamine Yamal for those fantastic passes? Or is it someone that I haven't mentioned? Is it maybe a Pedri who did have a good game today? Pau Kwartesi, a Pau Victor? Let me know down below, guys. And as always, thank you
Also,
guys
I
for watching.
think one thing I want to say that be positive for November was shit, so December will be a good month.
Oh well, right there, you sort of cut out. But what's up, 87? Unfortunately, you're coming like while the video is ending. But Barcelona, they get the job done. Absolutely amazing. And guys, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you guys all for tomorrow, in which we talk about a little bit more about the follow-up of this match. We talk about some of the stats and some of the reaction. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. See you guys all in the next video. Peace out, guys.